What's going on? This is Bo, and I am a home theater and movie enthusiast, and I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to do a home theater live stream for the first time. So I haven't set, I'm not set on the date or the title. This is just I'm gonna try something here, see if there's an audience for it. I got a lot of stuff to say about home theater and movies and Hollywood. And, I just thought, hell, let me try live streaming it, see what people think, see who checks it out. And we'll go from there. Hopefully, have some interactions in the chat. I definitely have a couple topics I want to talk about. Hopefully, can do this like weekly, maybe bi weekly. But we'll see. So if I do it weekly or bi weekly, or if I do it regularly, I should say, I'm going to start each one with like recent pickups. And since this is my first one, I grabbed a handful of 4K movies or Blu-rays and 4K. Some are standard, I think. I don't know. We'll see. I don't just buy 4K Blu-rays, but just to uh, see what kind of audience we get. I see I had 3 people in. They're probably from my gaming channel, so this is going to be home theater, movie related content. So if you don't have anything to say about movies or home theater, this isn't going to be for you. So anyway, I'm going to start with recent pickups and then we'll go from there. So no order in particular. So I got the Crow 4K Steelbook, which the slipcover kind of hides what I think is a amazing Steelbook. There's the trademark. I watched this last night. It's just the 4K. Um, the picture looks really good. I don't think it's a huge upgrade over the standard Blu-ray. Audio, not very good. It's definitely not. It's the same 5.1 mix. The Crow was never an audio showcase movie. Has some pretty obvious Foley sound effects and some generic gunshots. That's just the same gunshot sound over and over. Not very impactful. Turn it up and it just kind of sounds harsh. But anyway, still love the Steelbook. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. 30th anniversary. I'm pretty excited. The next up, bought the Expanse 4K. The controversial AI removing film grain. James Cameron, what the hell were you thinking? Some of the best looking 4Ks are just old movies from the 80s, early 90s, um, where it's just the film was rescanned, the negative was rescanned, and just got the film grain in place. Everything looks amazing because well, not every movie, but 35 millimeter is really good when you scan the negative at 4K. It does a amazing job of capturing how that movie looked. So I thought The Abyss overall looked good, but I wish he hadn't tampered. Next up, we got Dune Part 2 Steelbook, which I did some color correcting on this a long time ago. I should probably disable it because it's making stuff look wrong, but um, let me try that right now, see what happens. Let me disable the color correction. All right. Well, I look pretty washed out, but let me uh, let me tinker with it. Yeah, definitely looks more. It looks better with the color correction on. So if I could just get the brightness and contrast figured out, it'd probably be all right. We'll just leave it on. It's all right. Next, I haven't even opened this. This is the 1995 animated Ghost in the Shell Steelbook. I doubt it's going to be an upgrade over the Blu-ray, but it's a really cool Steelbook, and I had to have it before Best Buy went stopped selling 4Ks. I picked that up. Not a movie I love here, but Matrix Resurrections. I've seen it on HBO Max. This was like $12 or something, so I picked that up. But finally got the Matrix on 4K. I've never even had it on Blu-ray. I have it on DVD, like the remastered DVD collection. Looking forward to rewatching that. I heard good things about the Atmos mix and stuff. Next up, we have another. This one was suffered way more from the AI noise reduction. Just I don't know. I thought overall it looked fine, but you should have just left it alone. Scan the negative. Let us see the original in all its glory in 4K. Um, and then last but not least, I guess it is least, but Van Helsing's probably the least. I put it above the Matrix Resurrections, but actually really enjoyed this watching it again for the first time in like 15, 20 years. You know, some of the shots, this is a 1.85 to 1 ratio movie, so fills my new 16 by 9 screen. And some of the shots just looked amazing. They're on location, real smoke, real fog in the background, 35 millimeter camera. It looked incredible. Yeah, some of the CGI, all CGI stuff looked a little dated, but some of it actually held up really good. I'd put it up with some more recent MCU and Disney movies for CGI. So, yeah, that was some of my recent pickups. I might have forgot one or didn't grab one, but really trying to build up my collection. And I hate buying everything from Amazon, but you can't just Walmart doesn't stock a lot, and it's just what am I supposed to do? Best Buy stop doing it, stop selling physical media. There's not a lot of great options, so I've just been picking away at some movies on Amazon. I pre-order on Amazon. You get the guaranteed low price. And yeah, pre-ordered Dune Part 1 at like $45, $50, whatever it was. The price at some point dropped to $32 or $31.99 or $32.99. Might have been for a day, might have been for an hour, and I got that price. So I don't mind buying movies through Amazon, and I'd rather support a local business, a local chain, whatever. But every time I go into Walmart, you can barely even find Blu-rays. It's almost all DVDs. So anyway, I'm not seeing anybody jumping into the chat, so this experiment might have failed. I don't know what would be a better day or time to do something like this. I see a couple people joined in. I mean, if you're from my gaming content, I'm just going to be talking about movies. Not really getting into home theater stuff right now. Talk about why Hollywood or why the box office is struggling. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. There's multiple things, related. But before we get into that, I do want to just start from the beginning. I am a movie enthusiast first who stumbled into home theater, not stumbled, but fell into home theater after I was already loved movies. And I used to go almost every weekend. This will tie into the main topic of why people don't go to the movie theater or as much anymore. For me, it was just like, oh, it's Friday or Saturday, let's go to the movies. I probably went 2 to 4 times every month, all year when I was younger, especially when I first started, got my license. Me and my friends could drive to movies. We went all the time. But before that, my mom would take me, and she'd take me to the new Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme films. I remember Terminator 2, I was so excited for. Went and seen Batman, the original, in '89. Lots of the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, from Double Impact to Universal Soldier, Street Fighter, yeah, pandemic for sure. I'll get more into that. I'm gonna start with the thing that got me into home theater was going to the movies. The Cinema by Me. I mean, it's a small city. It's we don't get a lot of like very nice stuff, but 19. Let me get the date correct. It was June. It was almost It was over 30 years ago now. Let me get the exact date. I don't have my ticket stub for some reason. I just don't have that one. So it was 93. It was June 11th. So today is June 2nd. So 31 years ago, almost to the day. I probably went on June 12th. Um, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah, I mean, I went and saw all those movies. I remember going to see. My mom and brother went to see Die Hard, and I wanted to go. Me and my sister went and seen. Uh, right, Theater Next Door. It was in 1988, so I gotta look at 1988 movies. July 22nd. 1988 movies. It was probably an animated film. It wasn't Akira. Short Circuit 2. It might have been Short Circuit 2. Um, just looking at movies that came out in July of 88. I think it was Short Circuit 2. More than likely. Looking at this list. They went and seen Die Hard. And then my brother and my mom just, oh my God, that was the best movie ever. I went to like Short Circuit 2. But anyway, 93, June 12th, it was a Saturday. Matinee show. We're driving up to the cinema, Carousel it's called. And we see, or I see on the sign, Jurassic Park, featuring DTS digital sound. And I'm like, what the hell's digital? What does that even mean, digital sound? Yeah, like I kind of laughed at it. So let me switch to my second screen. But so I sit down. This is before stadium seating, old school theater, and this plays. And I don't know, the audio's not. You guys can't hear the audio. Let me check something. So we'll just go default. Let's see if that made a difference. No, it didn't. Probably because I opened this before I open OBS. Let me try something here. Let me reopen it. You could see it, but seeing it's only... Yeah, it's not picking up the audio. Not sure why, but anyway. Saw this, heard this. Absolutely blew me away hearing this sound. I'm determined to get this to work, though. Oh, okay. Desktop audio. That's why. This should work. No, that didn't work either. Figuring things out. So I put it to default. Let me put it to what I'm actually hearing it on. I mean, I'm not hearing it either, so it's not coming through my headphones. Oh, there it is, down there. Mic auxiliary desktop audio too. I don't know. I should have tested this beforehand. Let's try this. I don't think it's gonna work. I don't know why the audio's not working. I'll have to figure that out off after the stream. But anyway, DTS digital experience. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. Does make me wonder why I can't get the audio though. Desktop audio, Yeti stereo microphone. I'm not hearing it either, so that's weird. Probably because I have it on my second monitor. I'm sure that's why. I'll figure it out at some point. Anyway, so I see this logo. I hear this sound, this amazing sound sweeping from front to back, and I'm just absolutely blown away. I mean, my jaw hit the floor. I didn't know. Like, I couldn't comprehend how something could sound that good, you know? It was just, it blew me away. So it is just like, it's just what it was. Like, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the sound. Well, it turns out the theater had upgraded the audio just for Jurassic Park. So they revamped the audio system for the digital audio, new speakers, subwoofers. It just sounded amazing, and opened up with the logo, the doom as the just the bass, and then the raptor scene, the T-Rex. It just blew me away, and I could not get that out of my head. Like, I was obsessed at that point with audio, with good audio. And it was, I think, 94 when the VHS came out, and I was in 10th grade, I believe. I was talking about it, and a guy's like, "Oh, my dad just hooked up a Dolby Pro Logic surround sound system in our living room." And I was like, "Dude, you gotta let me listen to this. You gotta let me come over." He lived like less than a mile away, or yeah, I would say three quarters, half a mile away. I go over there, and he puts in the VHS, which unfortunately I don't have my VHS copy of Jurassic Park anymore. And I'm like, "All right, dude, put this in. I got to hear this." So it's Pro Logic. For those that don't know, Pro Logic took VHS stereo and it separated the dialogue into the center channel. You had your front left and right speakers, and then the back surround speakers were played the same audio. So your left and right rear surround played the exact same audio. But so basically, you had four channels total. You had the left and right front, the center channel, and you had the rear surrounds as one channel. And I'm walking around every speaker. Dun, 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 dun. I hear the music in the surround channels and hear the helicopter in the surrounds. I hear the front and left getting mixed between the helicopter sound and the music, and then the dialogue was coming from the center channel. I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." I couldn't believe it. And I forget how old I was at that point. Was I 16? I'm not sure. 15 or 16. And within a year, 2 years at Christmas, I asked for a AV receiver. Basically, what we call it back then, just a stereo. And it had Pro Logic on it. And so I started working a small job, part-time job. I bought a Klipsch center channel, put it on top of my 13-inch TV stand I had for my 13-inch Magnavox. I had two big box speakers, and I start watching movies. And then I was like, "Oh, I bought some bookshelves for surround speakers. I rearranged my bedroom, and that's where it began. Like 94, 95, I had my first surround sound setup. So 2005, I had my first dedicated home theater in my parents' basement, which I will show you a photo of that right now. Let me get it on the second screen. We'll go back. So this was my very first dedicated home theater with a projector in 2005. It was like June or July, I think. So it was a 77-inch screen. I had some Polk Towers. I had a Sony Cinza HS50, I think it was, 720p. It was like the flagship. You can see my rear surrounds. I bought a 7-channel receiver, and I had my rear surrounds next to each other, which defeated the purpose. My blade, I painted the ceiling black. My parents let me. I bought a nice leather couch, and all cement walls all the way, except front and back weren't. I guess the side walls were just cinder blocks. Put some posters up, put my side surround, dipoles, and I'm glad I got some photos of it because, you start with humble beginnings, and it was awesome. I loved it. So 2005 to mid 2006, I moved into the house I am now, and I built another room. But yeah, this was humble beginnings, cement floor with just some thin carpet, blacked out the front wall and the first third of the side walls, and then the ceiling. But it was pretty awesome. And for those home theater guys that are going to watch this, I learned right then and there. I was in the same house as my parents and my sister. couldn't get them to come in here watch a movie. You know, it was a very hard lesson to learn early. I'm glad I learned it early. It sucks, you know. You wouldn't think that it would be so hard to get people to watch a movie in a nice or in a pretty cool experience like that. Yeah, it wasn't great, but you know, it was something. So yeah, that anyway, that was my home theater journey. Really summed up quick. Let me I'll show you. This is a professional photo of my first room at my house, and you know, same speaker, same screen. Did some there's it with the Wii, and had the sensor bar on top of my center channel. You know, it was a small screen, but at the time you couldn't get a 65-inch TV was unheard of. So 77-inch screen was, you know, it was pretty impressive at the time. You know, that was just an early build photo there. My old rack, you know, humble beginnings, humble beginnings. Anyway, to get on to the main topic, why people don't go to see movies. And if you're, I see people, you know, if you can leave a comment, we got, what is that? Introvert Maxine? Introvert? Oh, Introvert Maxine. Yeah, a lot of home theater guys seem to be introverts. So, if I said that name right. Um, so right now, you know, after COVID, obviously, movies, people weren't going to see the movies during COVID that whole year. I think, what was it? 2 years they delayed Top Gun, um, because Tom Cruise wouldn't put it on Paramount Plus. And it was just a rough time. But before that, I mean, the movie industry was doing really well. You had Endgame. When did No Way Home come out? Was that before COVID? I feel like it was that like or the first big movie after COVID. Let's look up. So that was 2021. December 17th it released. So that was like the first like big comeback movie after COVID. And we've had quite a few. I mean, Avatar did well. Obviously, Oppenheimer, Barbie did really well last year. Dune Part 2 did really well at the beginning of this year. But then you just keep seeing underperforming movie after underperforming movie. And, you know, everyone's like, oh, what's the problem? What's going on? Hollywood's failing. All these movies are bombing. And, I mean, it's pretty simple. But before I get into what I think is the obvious one, I want to talk about some of the extremist opinions. You know, you got the you know, the MCU. Oh, they're going woke and they're just trying to force all female stuff on a majority of the fan base is men. You know, and it's like there's some evidence to say yeah the vast majority of like the MCU fans were mostly guys, and the women that went, a lot of them were probably just going supporting their boyfriends, husbands, brothers, you know, whatever. And but it also created a lot of female fans of like action movies, science fiction movies. So the MCU overall, I think, created a lot of movie fans, and I think it created a lot of home theater guys. I don't have any like evidence, but I feel like a lot of guys initially got into home theater. I started seeing like just MCU fanboys in the home theater hobby, and you know, I don't. This isn't meant to be like offensive or anything, but action movies were definitely male dominated. Like romance films were female dominated. It's not that. It's not rocket science, you know. But this idea that oh, if it stars a female lead, you know, guys won't go support it, and it's just that's not the case. That's not the. It's not a simple. There's a lot of nuance to that. Like Furiosa. Oh, it was a female lead. You know, guys don't want to see women. That's you know that's a dumb excuse. I love Fury Road. I'm not like some diehard Mad Max fan, but I love Fury Road. I didn't really feel like I wanted to go see Furiosa. I don't know what it is. I just wasn't feeling it. I heard it's good, but some people said it's great. Other people said it's, it's good, but not as good as Fury Road. I just honestly wasn't even following. I didn't know the movie was coming out. All of a sudden, here it is, and I was like, oh, George Miller's actually directed that. I might want to go see that, but I haven't. And I just like, do I really want to go to the theater to see it? I mean, it's allergy season for me. Some days I'm blowing my nose constantly, others not. But the idea that, oh, it's a female lead, so guys don't support that. I mean, I don't think that's true. I think the problem is, well, I mean, some situations, but it depends on the movie too. You can't just say it for every movie. Like some movies have a female lead, and like the Hunger Games, and men and women alike go and see that, and the movie does really well. Those movies did like huge numbers at the box office. Was it because of a female lead, or because it's a very popular book and it was like a I won't say a fad. It was like the hot thing to do. Oh, Hunger Games. Oh, all these people talking about Hunger Games. Then we go see it, and it's doing well at the box office. So more people. Oh, I don't want to miss out. Fear of missing out. I want to go see Hunger Games. It's like that's kind of what I feel like happens. No Way Home. I felt like that the fear of missing out really hit really hard. But as far as like the whole female lead thing, I just don't. It depends on the movie. Like it could be a great movie and be a male lead and bomb. So like Blade Runner 2049 bombed. Ryan Gosling, he's not the biggest box office draw, but you got Denis Villeneuve, you got a sequel to a cult hit, a cult classic sci-fi film that influenced so many sci-fi movies that came after it. It comes out and it absolutely bombs. It's like that makes no sense. It had a male lead. It had Harrison Ford. It has Ryan Gosling. Um, so that bombs. So you can't just say, "Oh, it's because the lead was female," because there's a lot of male-led movies that bomb for and make no sense, even if they're great movies. The problem is, in my opinion, what people refer to as, "Oh, you know, Hollywood's going woke and going broke" or whatever, is when you say Ghostbusters. Oh, let's remake Ghostbusters, but just make it all female for whatever reason, just because, it just that'll get people's interest, and then they hire a woman to write it, and apparently the script was really good, but then they hire a director who likes to ad lib, and they just ad lib the whole movie, and it sucked. And it's like, so was it because, hey, we're just going to make a movie and our main focus is, hey, we want to make an all-female led Ghostbusters movie? It could still have been a good movie, and the script might have been great, but then you hire a director who is a male, by the way, who lets them ad lib the whole movie, and it just turns out to be trash. And it's like, so did it fail, or did people hate it because of all female cast, or because it was just bad? Like it wasn't it wasn't the best idea, I don't think, just to say, oh, we're gonna come up with a gimmick, if you will, of a movie before we have a movie. That's another thing I think happens. Let's come up with a gimmick. Let's push this idea before we even have a movie idea. It does it same thing in gaming. It's like, oh, we have this. We want to make this really graphically intense game, but we haven't even figured out the gameplay yet. We're gonna make a game. We have some ideas for the setting. We don't have any gameplay ideas yet. Why are you working on a game if you don't have any gameplay ideas? So with movies, it's like, so you just set out to make an all-female Ghostbusters. That was your goal. Should have been to make a really good Ghostbusters movie, and then you might have said, all right, well, let's see what happens if this script was all female or had half female. Like instead, it was like, oh, we're gonna taunt this as an all-female Ghostbusters movie, and it's like, there's so many layers to why that failed. Another thing is the, I would say, on the same mindset. Okay, there hasn't been a lot of female directors, and we need to fix that by, you know, having more female directors. But my question is, and I don't know the answer to this, what's the ratio of active female directors or active male directors? What's the ratio of men and women in film school? What's the ratio of male to female people making independent and home and videos at home. Now with your phones, back in the day it was Super 8, then it was camcorders. What's the ratio of men to women on young people, kids who are making movies on their phones now, like, and actually editing and acting and stuff? Like, I don't know what that is. If it is it 50-50 male female, or is it 80-20 male female? Is it 70-30 male female? I don't know. If I knew those stats, that's the first question I would ask. Why is there, so many men directing movies? Well, I'd have to know some data on, like, what's the film school ratio, what's male and female ratio in film school. I mean, I know multiple guys who went to film school. I've never met or encountered a woman who went to film school. So is it really high male dominated from the start, or is it because people, as Hollywood and these guys have something against women directing their movies? I don't know. Um, yeah, I 2006 is when I didn't build my home, but it was when I moved in. Um, so it's like you can't just sit there and blame stuff. Like, I can't say one way or the other on why. Um, there's this idea like, hey, we have to force this kind of stuff. I don't know the evidence. Like I said, I would need to know to have a real discussion about that. But when you have a movie and you're like, all right, we want a female lead, we want all female writers, we want all female producers, all female directors. That's your priority, instead of like, all right, we want the best writers. Not saying that the best writers couldn't be an all female staff. I'm saying is, when your mindset is we have to have them be from this particular group and eliminate half the population, half the selection, I think that's the wrong mindset. It should happen organically. I don't care. I thought Birds of Prey was all right. The villain was terrible, and some of the writing was questionable, and some of the action sequences were a little amateurish. I just watching stuntman react to Birds of Prey. So did they just bypass some more talented people because they wanted it to be all from this group? I'm not sure, but that kind of stuff happens, and when you pat yourself on the back for it, and all the promotion is all about this, if you don't go support this movie, then you're sexist against women type stuff. That is never gonna work. You can't try to morally blackmail people into going to see your movie. It's gonna have the opposite effect. So that kind of stuff hurts for sure. But like I said earlier, there's no guarantee. You could have The First Omen was great. I've heard that it was good. So I'm not saying that it can't be a good movie with a female director. Did they go around all the press junkets saying, "Yep, we have a female director and we're so proud of that"? We have, or they just talk about the movie? To me, that's when the motivations were wrong. If they just go around at their interviews, they're talking about the movie, talking about the characters, talking about, that kind of stuff, or are they talking about, oh wow, this was the first, um, pick a category to be in this role. This is the first time we've had pick a category, direct a movie. Like, that's like, I guess that's good to know, but don't make it the main focus of your promotion. So, like, I think it has the opposite what is it? Streisand effect, when you're trying to morally blackmail people to go see your movie. I think what was it, the Charlie's Angels fiasco. I like Elizabeth Banks. I don't know about her as a director, but I like her. I think she's funny. She's been in some really great movies. She's fun. Pitch Perfect. I don't think, did she direct the first one or the second and third one? I forget. Pitch Perfect was great. Um, yeah, Adam Sandler movies, those started getting really bad. The other thing is, like, there's so many layers to this. Adam Sandler was the box office guarantee until, was it Little Nicky or Waterboy? Or it might have been Waterboy led in, started getting people like, I don't know, this is a little off-putting. And then it just became every year a new Adam Sandler movie, and it was just the most, let's just try to have the most ridiculous gimmick idea and put Adam Sandler in it. Now there's still some pretty funny movies he put out after his prime, I would say, his peak. Like 51st Dates was good, and I'd say The Wedding Singer was probably one of his best movies. Cringe stuff in Adam Sandler movies, all at the time they were overly filled with alphabet messaging. Of course, it doesn't come close to what's in movies entertainment. See, I never thought about that for Adam Sandler. I never put that together. I know, they started getting that type of comedy started pushing some boundaries, like with the Chuck and Larry. Started getting a little offensive to people, and it just grew tiresome. But in today's age, it's like there's no guarantee. Like I said, Blade Runner 2049 should have been a hit. Had nothing to do with any type of group. There was no pushing any type of agenda, and the movie it just failed at the box office. Caused Warner Brothers to screw Justice League over. Oh, a movie's got to be 2 hours or less, and then they ruin another movie and completely botch that with the Justice League Josh Whedon cut. And it's like, I don't know, man. There's been some bad decisions, some ugly things happened, stupid ideas, stupid decisions like that have affected movies. The other thing is just remakes. I mean, I guess in movies, remakes are just a remake. It's not a remaster. Remaking a movie, and it's like sometimes it's been all right. Most of the time, it never works out. Like, when's the last time like they remade a movie and I was like, this is better than the original? I mean, they just released Roadhouse, like a movie that no one really thinks or talks about. It was an 80s kind of cult hit, I guess. It wasn't like some huge box office movie, box office hit. Like, why are you remaking that? The Crow came out 30 years ago. You're remaking it. It wasn't ever a huge hit. It never was like a huge franchise, and you're remaking the original storyline, making a John Wick, even though the original Crow had some John Wick stuff in it in 1995 or 4. No reason to remake it. Little Mermaid, all the live action Disney movies, there's no reason to remake those. I think those have it's a little more interesting because you're going from animation to live action, but when you do it in such a stale, boring way, we're going to have our characters just be, emote like regular humans would emote. We're going to take the animation out of these animated CG characters, and it loses a lot. It's like the soul has been lost. I didn't hate. So I've seen the Beauty and the Beast, Jungle Book, and The Little Mermaid, I think, are the only 3 live action Disney adaptations I've seen. And they were all, they're fine. I thought the Jungle Book one was pretty good. I thought Beauty and the Beast was fine. It wasn't near as good as the original. Little Mermaid was fine. I thought the main actress did a good job. She's got a great voice. It just doesn't hit the same. And of course, like my buddy Mezza said, because they're just remaking a movie, they got to try to add some new splash to it. So a lot of times that means, well, we're going to change up something drastically. We're going to race swap a character or gender swap or do something, to try to make it different, and I appreciate the making effort to make it somewhat different, but at the same time, it's like you took a legacy character and now I just got to accept that character's now an opposite gender or sex, or opposite race. Well, sometimes it's just like, why? Why? It doesn't hurt. I'm not like I watched Little Mermaid on Disney Plus. I didn't go to the theater. I wasn't gonna not watch it because it's now a black actress instead of a white redheaded person. Like, that wasn't gonna stop me from watching it. What was gonna stop me from watching most of the Disney movies is just their greed, their lack of originality. They're just like reliance on remaking movies and stuff like that. Try to avoid movies with agendas. That's why I haven't watched The Batman. Have you seen The Batman? There's nothing. The Batman is like there's nothing in it agenda driven in my that I could tell you. The only thing I'd say about The Batman is it borrowed a little too much from the movie Seven. It felt a little derivative at times of the movie Seven, but The Batman's awesome. I don't know what you've seen. If you heard that, you might be seeing you might be in some wading in some waters you might want to wade out of if people are saying that movie's got an agenda or is woke. I've watched it 3 or 4 times now. Would have never even thought that. I mean, I can't even imagine where someone even came up with that. There's no even hint of it. So that one's crazy. That's the first I've heard of that. But something like the Snow White movie. Now, like I said, I don't care if you're gonna race swap or gender or sex swap characters, but you have like when that's your purpose, and then you have your lead actress just shitting on the movie, like shitting on the idea of a romance between a man and a woman, and like a prince sweeping a like rescuing a princess, like that whole idea to her was like insulting, and it's like, why'd you take the movie? You know, her name's Snow White. I don't know how they're going to justify Rachel Ziegler as Snow White anyway, based on the name of Snow White, because her skin was as white as snow. I mean, I don't know how you would change that. That one seems a little bit more forced. But then you hire this entitled, like snobby, like agenda kind of pushing actor who's like flapping her mouth, and then they had to completely pivot, and we'll see if that movie even ever comes out and what form it's in, trying to change the dwarves into just this group of um, people that the most diverse, 7 people they could find, of all shapes, sizes, races, genders, and all that. That can't be your motivation for a movie. If that's your motivation, I'm sorry, then you're making a movie for the wrong reason. Like there's there's a actual dwarf actor who's like, all right, I just lost an opportunity to get a major paycheck in a major Hollywood film because you guys said, well, it's offensive to have dwarves in a movie. Did you ask the actual dwarves, the actors, hey, are you offended by playing a little person in a movie? Like, it's so stupid. I mean, by saying you're diverse and inclusive, you're actually excluded a pretty already excluded group of actors. Like they don't get there's not a lot of opportunities for. I'm not sure the to term this these days. It was little person. I don't know if dwarf or little person, person of little stature, whatever it is. There's not a lot of opportunities for them. So if you're going to take like the main opportunity they have away, it's like that's stupid. So that's a disaster. Stuff like that. When people when people hear about that, I couldn't believe it when I found out that story a couple months ago. I thought it's like there's no way this is true. Like there's no way all this stuff actually happened with this movie, and I was just like, it blew me away. So, but honestly, I think the main the main thing is just simple. Just like Amazon's effect on the brick and mortar stores, place I work, a distribution place I work, we're being affected by Amazon. Hollywood, the box office, movie theaters are being affected by streaming services. It's just that simple. Um, what is it? What was it? Fall Guys? Like, was it less than a month from the theater to streaming? They did it because the movie kind of bombed at the box office, but you're setting up the yeah, Disney's going down. I mean, they're going down a bad path. I don't know. I mean, Andor's good. Um, I'm guessing Deadpool versus Wolverine's going to be good. But other than that, I don't know. But yeah, the streaming 2020 Warner Brothers, the Max HBO Max fiasco. You know, I I thought it was a good idea for 2020 for them to do that. because you can't hold every movie. And being a home theater enthusiast, I was like, damn, I'm getting all these movies day and date. So I signed up for HBO Max for a year. It was awesome. Now it turns out most of the movies sucked. It was Godzilla versus Kong. Thought it was trash. There was what was that psychological thriller? It was like in January that year. That turned out to be trash. Really low rated. Um, you had the Tom and Jerry movie, I believe. It was okay, but not great. Or was it Space Jam 2? Maybe both. I can't remember. Dune came out. That one was cool. That was the best movie. Wonder Woman 1984 was like the year before, I think 2019. They did that on Christmas, or was it 2020 on Christmas? I can't remember. The Matrix Resurrections, was that the same year? And I feel like there was Suicide Squad maybe. And there were some good movies, but it did set a bad precedent. I was like, dang, it's nice just watching these, not having to go to the theater. Yeah, Fall Guy and Furiosa both flopped. I'm sure they're both good movies though. Um, I have no doubt about Furiosa. Fall Guy, I mean, Ryan Gosling's actually really funny. Was it The New Guys or something he was in with Russell Crowe? That was hilarious. So he's really good in comedic roles. But anyway, you got you ingratiated. You gave us a taste of what it's like having new movies come out at home like really quick. So that's not the situation for every movie though. Like No Way Home did 1.9 billion in 2021. That was like the first big one. Then you had, Top Gun Maverick did over a billion. Avatar The Way of Water I think did 2 or close to 2 billion. Mario movie did over a billion. Oppenheimer and Barbie did over a billion each. And Doom Part 2, I think that was like 700,000-800,000. But again, I've had that movie on 4K for over a month, I think. It's like there's no incentive really. Like I'm like Furiosa, yeah, I'd go see the theater, or I could wait 2 months and get it on 4K or rent it on streaming if I can't wait an additional month. If you have like Kaleidoscape service, which is super expensive hardware, where you got to spend like $8,000 to $10,000 for a player and some storage, and you can download digital movies at high, like download the actual file. You're not streaming it, so it's really high quality. Those like Dune Part 2 was on Kaleidoscape a month before I could buy it. So if I had the money or wanted, I have the money, but if I was going to spend that money, which I never would, it's just ridiculously overpriced. Um, I could have had the movie a month sooner, like within less than 2 months after it hit the theaters. And it's like, I think that's the wrong approach. Make people wait 6 months. If the movie comes out in May, have it come out on streaming in like November or something. Like there's no reason to just rush it out. Now they used to have two markets, well three, back in the day. You go to the main theater, like the full price theater. After a couple months, you would get the cheap theaters, the second run theaters. They'd get the film prints. They're all scratched up. They had lower quality. For like $1 or $2, you go see a movie. I did that for Jurassic Park. After they're seeing it at the main theater, a couple months later, I go see it at the cheap theater, and it was completely a different experience. The sound was so bad, so underwhelming that it ruined the experience. But then you had the DVD, VHS, and DVD market with the rental just the rental places in where I live. We had what, 2 or 3 blockbusters. We had like 4 family videos. We had a couple, I forget the other one, Hollywood Video. Just all the rental companies in the United States was enough for these companies to make 100 million or more additional revenue just for the rental places, just because they would buy large, like the big popular movie, they would buy 50 copies at each store of Jurassic Park or whatever the big movie was, Independence Day. So however many rental places there were in the United States, times that by 50 to 100 for each store for like the big movies, and that's just instant money for them, and they had to pay more than the average person. They paid more than like the $20 it cost us if you went to Walmart and stuff. So they had the main theater, they had the second run theater for a little bit extra box office, then they had the rental place money, and then they had people with the DVD craze buying movies after that. So it was a huge amount of revenue beyond the box office. I'm trying to best to support both cinema and physical media. I mean, I do when it's like Dune Part 2, The Batman. Um, what else did I see? I didn't go see Avatar. I had some health issue. I couldn't make it to the theater. Um, I've seen a couple others. Not a lot, to be honest, but the physical media, that's getting tough too. I saw the pre-order steelbook of Furiosa was $55. And I'm like, there's no way the movie's that good. But with Amazon's price guarantee, if you pre-order it now, there's a chance it'll drop at some point and you get the lower price. But most I've paid at this point, I think, is $42 for a steelbook physical. Um, and I don't think movie prices where I live haven't gone up at the theaters. I think Dune Part 2 was like $10.50 matinee at a Dolby Cinema, just recently remodeled Dolby Cinema, so I don't think it was that bad. But so now they had like two real big pillars. You have the box office, you have the home video market. Now they have the box office and streaming, and then a tiny percentage of physical media. So what they're doing now is they're trying to combine the box office promotion with this quick to streaming, so that they don't probably have to re-advertise, to kind of combine them together instead of having two separate ones. So now you're getting, all right, went to the theater and seen it. All right, let's say a movie like Furiosa, let's say it does 100, what would it be at the 100 million, maybe 80 million in the domestic box office. You put it in streaming right away. How many of those people that went and seen it are going to instantly get it in streaming? Like, me personally, I'm not going to pay $20 to rent the streaming version when I just seen it at the theater a month ago. Like, I'm going to wait. So it's just kind of weird. I feel like if you prolong the streaming for 5-6 months, that would incentivize people to go to the theater. Oh man, I don't want to wait 6 months to see that. I'm going to go to the theater to see it. Maybe they tried it and it didn't work. I don't know. It seems like that would be the better approach. And then, or they could do streaming and streaming rental, not like on a streaming service like HBO Max or something. Pay to stream it like a rental box office, and then 6 months later have your HBO Max, your Netflixes, your Paramount Plus, or you could have the physical media before. Get the physical media people to buy the movie first, and then put it on the services that people already have. They're not playing. Remember the last Planet of the Apes trilogy? The movies were made from 2014 to 2017, but the effects look way better than today's huge budget movies. That's a topic for another stream. Yeah, the marketing. I don't know what the answer is, honestly, but I know the answer isn't putting on streaming a month after the box office. Like, once you do that, then people are just going to wait. And like I said in the beginning, when I was talking about my home theater in 2005, I put it in my parents' basement. I couldn't get my parents to come downstairs hardly ever to watch a movie. My sister, anybody. So, like, people they'd rather just watch it up in the living room on a small TV or in their bedroom. And that was, 20 years ago. Now it's like, yeah, everybody's got a pretty big screen in their main, like, living room nowadays. 65 is probably, like, close to the average. 55 is probably the average. You got 65, you got 77-inch TVs regularly in people's homes, 70-inch screens. So you're getting a better experience at home. For the video side of things, obviously most people have a sound bar, the TV speakers. Only a very small amount of people actually have surround sound these days. But people would rather watch it in the comfort of their home, in their pajamas, in the daylight, looking on their phones, than like sit down, watch a movie in a dedicated space, whether it's a theater or a home theater. The other side of it is the theater experience because of cell phones. Now you got it's way more prevalent people being on their phones during the movie. People cough. There's somebody always sick at the movie. Doesn't matter what time, when you go, what time of the year, what time of the day. There's somebody who's gonna be coughing throughout the whole movie. Or if there's enough people, sometimes there's only a couple people in there. I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know what the outcome's going to be if it continues at this rate. Maybe Hollywood needs to stop making so many damn movies. I know for a fact the days are gone and never coming back of every weekend people just flooding to the theater to see movies. That's probably gone forever. So I think a solution would be to release less movies, um, which sounds crazy, but if you're less movies to the theater, I mean, less to choose from. You're gonna help the movies that do make it to the theater gonna have a better chance. You're not gonna have to decide between the, Dune Part Two, what was it, Kung Fu Panda 4 or Godzilla v Kong or whatever. They came out or Ghostbusters within a 3 or 4 week period. All four of those movies came out. And then you got people trying to decide which one to go see, and they're probably going to see one or two of the four. They're not going to go see all four. So those days are probably gone for good. So, on one hand, I love being able to watch movies quicker at home. I don't have to wait a year. Sometimes back in the day, you have to wait almost a full year for the VHS or DVD, depending on the director, how successful it was. They would milk that box office for 6 months sometimes. Yeah, that's you coughing. I rarely ever cough, and if I had a steady cough, I'm not gonna go to the movies. My nose was running last weekend. I was like, I'm not gonna go see Furiosa. I have to be blowing my nose with a handkerchief, the whole time. Um, I don't know. I think they're gonna have to reevaluate. You can't just and you don't want the smaller budget movies to go away either. It can't just be big, huge movies. Um, it's just the industry and consumers, we kind of painted ourselves into a corner here with streaming. People don't care about good sound. They don't care about large screens. They want comfort. They want immediate access. You know, my mom watches movies all the time during the day. I can't watch a movie with the lights on. Upstairs in the living room with the sunlight coming in. I can't watch a movie that way. Maybe a TV on TV movie with commercials where I'm not that sucked in, but I need to be like just completely enveloped into the experience. I turn my phone upside down if I even bring it into the room. My biggest problem is I'm taking photos because ever since I got my JVC projector 15 months ago, I'm constantly like, oh my God, this looks so good. Let me take a picture. Let me send it to some people. Say, man, this looks so good. Um, so anyway, any questions? I was going to talk about, maybe I'll just briefly mention this. There'll be definitely a full topic on this. If I continue to do these live streams, I'm going to have to probably build up an audience. Um, it's I don't get into the equipment side of home theater. I try to buy nice equipment and make sure it's, well, a good product that's reviewed well and it's going to do what it needs to do for me. And make sure my speakers. I never really had to worry till I did my front wall makeover and I bought some in-wall Polks that sounded like crap, and I had to. It's the first time I bought speakers and they didn't just sound great. It's wow, these don't sound great. So I had to go to Focal and spend an extra couple $1,000s, which sucked. But for the most part, I just try to buy some decent equipment, get good value for my money. I don't buy the high end stuff, but I don't buy the cheapest stuff either. I bought SVS subs, which are really good performance for the money, and I bought the couch, this is just a photo, by the way. I'm in my computer room. I bought a Bob's Discount Furniture couch. I'm not paying 3-4 grand for Valencia, you know. So I try to save money where I can. But the thing is, I don't care that much. I'm not a gearhead um, when it comes to that. Like I had to think about, well, what is my Yamaha receiver? Like what is the model number? I had to like really think about it. And the only reason I remembered it is because it's a 3080, which is a graphics card. Two was it one generation ago, the 3080. I was like, oh, a 3080. My buddy's always talking about graphics cards at work. He's a PC guy, and that's the only reason I remember my Yamaha is a 3080. Um, you know, I got a 4K player. I got a couple cheaper Niles amps um, for my height channels, and Apple TV 4K in an AVR. You know, that's it. That's my equipment. I got the NP5 projector. It's the bulb lamp based. It's got all the, well, I won't say all, but it's basically an NX7, but better than the NX7 was for 5 grand right now. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but you know the NX7 was always like 8 grand, I think 7,500, 8 grand. Screen size 120 and a half inch, 16 by 9, and I think my projector's like 18 feet away. I don't know. You must not have seen my other videos. Let me see if I can find a little photo here. I'll just switch screens here. So that's my AV rack. Like I said, you know, Apple TV, an old Blu-ray player, 4K, my receiver, an AC Infinity, which doesn't even kick on, and two 50 by 2 Niles amps. So here is my couch. You can see up above the door where my projector is. So, and that's about 5 inches. The lens is about 5 inches in from the front. So yeah, it's about 18 feet. I'm not sure which photos I have on here, because my room's like 1710, but the screen's about 5 inches off the wall. See if I have a new photo. So this is with my 120 inch that I just got. That's with the lights on. I got to redo my front stage and stuff. It's been putting it off. I could have went 5 inches wider and stayed scope, but I would have lost 12 inches of height, which I didn't want to do. I wanted really to gain something impactful. So that's what the JVC. My camera does enhance some of the highlights, artificially makes it look brighter than it really is to the eye, but pretty close. And then I got masking panels to get it back to scope ratio. Yeah, that's kind of I tried putting a piece of glass, and it got so covered in dust like instantly. You can see all these speckles. That's the dust that stuck to the glass, because I was trying to make it block the sound from coming into the room. And so yeah, the lens is about 5 inches in. And these are my focals behind the screen. They're good, but I had to EQ some issues out of them. They just couldn't run them. I had to boost the high frequencies a little bit, and take some of the. I had a huge peak at 80 hertz for some reason, so I had to EQ that out using my Yamaha receiver. But yeah, that's about it. You know, I didn't have like a real answer or solution for Hollywood. I don't know honestly what they could do. You know, let me show you my previous. So this was my old screen, a scope, and I didn't think I wanted a 16 by 9 because I thought it'd be too tall, but that's with masking. Let me delete the in-between photo, so I can just jump back and forth. So this is what I had, and this is what I have now. So I gained 14 and a half inches of height and a half inch of width, which makes IMAX enhanced. Um, IMAX enhanced and just native 16 by 9 1.85 to 1 movies. It's like, oh my god, I have trouble putting the masking panels back up and watching scope movies now. It's immersive. It's really immersive. Um, so yeah, this is what I had. That's what I went to. I not even a hint of regret. Yeah, it sucked. I had to buy a Seymour because I wanted the magnetic masking panels, so I had to pay premium price. I don't have any other photos there, but yeah, yeah. I mean, at this point in my life, I'm 45 years old. I never imagined, I never even dreamed 20 years ago that I'd have a room like this. I never even thought to myself, man, I hope someday I can have a room like like what I have. I never even thought about it. I was like content for many years. Let me find my 2016 photos. Don't have any. I was content for many years, for like 11 years with like this setup. And I'm not saying it was terrible. It's a dedicated room. It looked nice. The screen size was definitely way too small. This is an 82 inch. Maybe that was, yeah, that was an 82 inch. I had a Sony 1080p, which, I mean, it had a good image. But yeah, it wasn't. I thought that this is all I need. I had a 77, went to 82, and I went from a 720p. I'm going in reverse here. 720p to a 1080 projector, and for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, I was like, I don't. I mean, this is it. I don't need anything else. But now that I have what I have, I needed that. Not from here on out. Um, so you have 123 inches. Nice. How far away do you? Oh, you got two different people. How far do you sit from your 123? I sit 11 foot. My eyeball to screen's about 11 foot 2 inches for 120 and a half. And I feel like maybe I could get away 6 to 8 inches. But last night I was watching The Crow, and there was panning shots through from rooftops, and I got a little bit. I wouldn't say motion sickness, but my eyes are trying to follow along. It was like a scrolling shot from like an aerial, and my eyes are just like, just how your eyes don't move smooth. I'm like, just focus on something. So I don't know honestly if I want to sit any closer. So I'm curious how far you sit from your 123. I don't understand. Youth Man sits 9 foot from a 150 inch scope, which is the same height as my 120 inch, just wider. I mean, more power to him. But like, if I was like gonna go to Florida and I'd be like, hey, Youth Man, can I check out your room? I'd sit in the back row. Like, there's no way I would sit 9 foot from that large of a screen. There's no way. But there's all kinds of tops. They're 10 foot from 100, so you're pushing it. I definitely couldn't sit there and watch most movies unless it's very still shots. But the Hunger Games, Cloverfield, the first Hunger Games and Cloverfield, I don't know if I could watch on my screen right now. I'm pretty sure I would be a little bothered. But Top Gun didn't bother me, Maverick, so we'll see. And then he had like a low lamp or low brightness NX7 before. Now he has the NZ8. I can't imagine that size screen with like my projector with whatever it is, 2000 lumens. I don't even think the NX7 was 2000 lumens. Um, But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I saved some topics for another video, for other live streams. We'll see how they go. See if we get people, see if I can build an audience. I don't know if Sunday afternoon's a good day. Would Saturday, would Friday evenings, would Thursday? I mean, for me, it's weekends are better. I'm trying to cover like multiple regions. So people in Europe, it's not too late for them. In Australia, it's like 8 a.m. for some people. In California, the West Coast, it's 3. So I don't know if starting it later would be better, starting it earlier. So you got the LS 12,000 on 150 inch 16 by 9. That's probably pushing it for for that projector as far as like it's not you lose brightness, but you also lose contrast. The bigger screen you go. But I don't know if you follow Jonathan from Youthman's podcast, but he did a lot of LS 12,000 versus NX or NZ7 comparisons. I mean, a difference of price was like $7,000 between the two, and he found the LS 12,000 one for motion, for clarity, for brightness, and then obviously the JVC one for contrast and black levels. I couldn't live without the contrast and black levels I have. I just got my calibration done, so some of the topics I'm thinking of doing is 16:9 versus scope screen, benefits of calibration, the law of diminishing returns. I've heard firsthand reports of people who've seen $100,000 Barco projector and just said honestly, like, I take the NZ8 over a Barco. Yeah, that shootout. Yeah, he did. I was surprised by some of the findings, but you know, does where does the line? There is a point where it's like you're probably not actually getting any benefit, but placebo effect is pretty real. Um, like my AVR, I spent 1,700 on my Yamaha after tax, and I think it's 140 watts by 2. I don't know what it is. I have 7 channels being driven by the AVR, basically my bed layer, and then my height channels are by separate amps. And it's like if I bought an Anthem MX 1140 for like $4,200, am I gonna like get night and day difference? Is it gonna be like, oh my god, such a significant difference? So I want to talk about that, the law of diminishing returns. I also want to talk about home theater, the hobby of home theater in general. You got guys like me who's movies first. You got guys that came into it because they love speakers, they love amps, they love the gear, they love the technology, but then they don't really watch a lot of movies, and I kind of want to have a discussion, maybe get a guest on or just people in the chat, give their perspective. Maybe just talk about movies, like my favorite movies, my favorite directors, the movies I grew up on, movies I love today, stuff like that. I got a lot of ideas for topics. So thanks to you, the two of you mainly that have contributed in the live chat. If you're not a subscriber, well, obviously you have to be because I enabled subscriber only chat, so I didn't get any bots. So you have an ultra short throw. What was your screen? 123 inch. That's got to be pushing it for an ultra short throw. Treated room is the biggest upgrade, honestly. I don't know if you watched my video on my biggest upgrades, biggest improvements. Let me get the actual title. I gotta open another browser. I linked into the description of this. I did link my playlist, but I did 2 lists of like the biggest improvements I made to my room in acoustics. I combined, well, in part 1 I had just acoustics, but in the follow-up video I combined acoustics with making my room quieter. That was a huge difference. Those two together was significant. So there's so much back and forth about. That's another thing I talk about, treated rooms, the DIY versus the experts, the experts who want to tell you everything, and are they really experts? The YouTube experts are the chat experts. You got the brand loyalists. You can't trust somebody. They bought a JVC, now it's the best thing ever. Can you trust them? Can you get an objective opinion? I'll give you an objective opinion. I like my JVC, but I wish it did focus a little sharper. I wish the fan noise wasn't so loud with the lamp on high. I wish the HDMI 1 port didn't go out on my first projector and it's finicky on my second projector. The quality issues are a little bit there. Some of their processing doesn't have the best, like the auto aperture blows out highlights in SDR. Like, why? Why does it do that? It shouldn't, you know? So I'm not like, oh my God, JVC is the best thing. That's the only option, no matter what, you know? That's not the type of person I am. So anyway, thanks you two. Is it? It's Ariel. I knew Ariel, Ariel, and Ariel. So I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Is it Ariel? Appreciate you guys. And I'm going to get out of here. And I'm going to be back next week. I'll pick a topic, discuss it, and see who shows up. So thanks for watching. If you're watching this on the replay, you know, leave me a comment below. Feel free to suggest a topic, ask some questions for next week, and we'll see you then.